So I know we were talking about the shape shifting, right, when it comes to twin flames. And
Yeah.
remember, I was constantly trying to figure out, like, why is it that I met the one guy, right? Didn't know what twin flames were, but the moment I laid eyes on the guy, there was this familiarity, intense like energy pull between us, a lot of telepathy, apparently, a lot of telepathy. And this went on for 2 years. And then, eventually I had enough strength to walk away from that situation. And then here comes the other one. But this one was a little more different. The intense energy didn't start until we started hanging out with each other. And a lot of, at first it was cool. It was a lot of bubblegum raindrops, like, magical shit. And then, like, as we started to get further on into the connection, that's when the anxiety started to happen. A lot of insecurities were coming up. Let's see, a lot of telepathy shit between us, like I would say things and he'd be like, oh my God, I was just about to say that. Right. And then it went on for a while, and then it got to the point where we couldn't be around each other really without feeling this intense energy and anxiety. And then, we both parted ways. And then that's when the familiarity and the recognition happened. And then after that was when the what do they call it? The dark night of soul came, with the obsessive thinking, and just couldn't shake him. And only 3 months I knew this guy. 3 months. And then this went on. I couldn't shake him for almost 4 fucking years, maybe three. I started to move on after 3 years. And then the other guy came in that was like the first guy. It was the telepathy. The moment I looked into his eyes, I immediately recognized him. There was this familiarity and I couldn't shake it. Like, I was like, what the fuck? I feel like I've known this guy before. So, and I was like, why did all this happen to me the way it did? And most of the time people would say, well, that's a twin flame thing. But then they say, well, you only have one. But now, since realization has happened for me, I've realized that there is no separate individual anyways, and that everything is all just energy. And the twin flame can appear the way it appears. It doesn't necessarily have to be in that one particular person. It can appear in several ways because it's just energy appearing as is. And, we brought the shape shifting, like that guy that I told you I was talking to, because he said he had a twin flame, apparently, right? And he was saying, well, Shannon, it's not that you probably had three twin flames. He goes, if you ever once stopped to think that maybe your twin flame was shape shifting into different, forms or whatever. And I'm like, well, yeah, because everything is energy. So why not? But yeah, done
No, I
blubbering.
mean, when you told me that, I got chills all over my body because it hit me. I was like, oh my God, because, a lot of people talk about this one twin flame, but I feel like I've had three individuals happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, not right now, but like, so my twin came and I recognized him too. And I was like, oh my God, and then the telepathic and the love and the magical stuff all happened. And then he would leave, and then another would come. But then I was the runner, and this guy was the chaser. And he was saying that I'm familiar to him. And I was like, I don't know you at all. And he was like, oh, we had so many lives together. And he was like 80 years old. So I was like, it's like, I didn't find any, like, it was really
Attractive.
hard. Yeah, it was really hard for me that this 80-year-old was like, why don't you marry me? And I was like, oh my God. But I mean, he would call me and tell me things like, hey, this is what's going to happen on your path now. And it would really happen. Um, but then he would leave, and then my twin would come back, and then I was the chaser. And then my twin would say things like, I've just been with you, you know, like it's just like he would say things, but then I would remind him, and then he'd pretend like he didn't know what he said. It was like he was unconscious or something.
Yeah.
So, um, so then I mourned my twin, the one I was chasing, the one I feel is like the main twin. I don't know, the one that made me
Yeah.
have the dark night of the soul, right?
Yeah.
So then I mourned that one, and then I completely rejected the other guy, the 80-year-old, thinking I'm his twin. And then as soon as I did that, where I had no more thoughts about my twins or this guy, I completely emptied out.
Yeah.
This guy showed up and said to me, you know, feels like home, and we're just neutral. We're both just on neutral. And then when you said that to me, I was like, and by the way, my twin said to me before I met this guy, the main twin, said to me, I can't go where you're going. I'm not willing to free fall. So
Yeah.
he stayed on the spiritual path. So I gave up on him. I mourned it. And then this guy came. There was some magical moments. He kept saying that this is fate, whatever. But we're just neutral.
Yeah.
We're always neutral. There's no attachment either way. So when you said that, it was like, oh shit, you know, it doesn't mean you have to become neutral with your one twin. You can become neutral and find somebody else. I mean, there's no
Mhm.
other, but another body, whatever, another energy, right? That it shows up. So that's what you're saying is shape shifting, is that your twin can shape shift into others. Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
that one person. And I think you're touching on something that is super unique and super special. And I can imagine somebody sitting there saying, what's happening to my life? These twin flame people are talking about one, and then these spiritual people are talking about this and non-duality. And, you know, I'm so glad you brought this up, because I didn't know, you know, I didn't know until you said it. Like, oh shit, you know, I'm neutral with this guy. Like,
Yeah.
there's no push and pull anymore. But it didn't happen with the twin I thought was my twin.
Yeah. And
So,
and maybe the ones that deal with the one, maybe they finally were at a place where they were neutral, and that's why that one stayed. But maybe with us, we weren't quite there yet. And I don't know really, but it's, you know, it's like the twin was showing up in different ways because we weren't we weren't getting it with the one, you know, so it was like it had to keep going. I don't know. I feel like everybody's story is different, and the twin will just appear the way the twin appears.
yeah.
There's no rules to this, and everyone seems to think that, oh no, it has to be this way and it has to be that way, and that's just the story anyways. I mean, what we're talking about is the story, but I don't know. It's however it's appearing to happen. It's I don't know. It's just I resonate with it being like they can appear however they appear. It's energy. Everything's energy, so it's, and there's not in everything, but you know what I mean. It's like
Well, you
whatever
resonate
rising is what's arising at the time, you know?
because you're resonating, because like after realization, there's no more distinction of things. There's no more like,
No.
but like, I don't know how to explain it. There's no more this and that. So it's just energy. So it doesn't matter if it's this person or that person. It's just energy, and there's no
Yeah.
distinction between it. So
Yes.
that's why you're resonating, because one thing is not different than the other. So it's all this, you know. So
Well, when I was watching the Kurt's video, and I sent that to you guys, it just dinged. All of a sudden, I went ding, ding, ding when that girl said, he was familiar to me. I recognized him, and I she was looking at his picture. And the first guy, I saw him through video. He was doing a YouTube thing. He was doing inspirational shit. And the moment I laid eyes on him, I just went, what the fuck? I know you, but I've never seen you a day in my fucking life. But I know you, and I just can't put my finger on where I've met you before. And I even told my friend at the time, I was like, I know him, like, and I don't even know how I know him or where I've seen him before. And her thing was, oh, he's a kindred spirit, and I didn't even know what the fuck that was neither at the time, because I wasn't into all that shit. I didn't know. I knew what a soulmate was. Apparently, in the story, it was somebody that you have things in common with, and you guys kind of just make sense. But I didn't know what a kindred spirit was. I thought a kindred spirit was somebody from a past life, but I don't even know what that is anymore. I just, at the time, I was like, wow, this guy, he just looks so. It was like I was looking at myself. It was the weirdest thing. It's like I was looking in a mirror, even though we look nothing alike. There was something that was familiar about him. And then with the second guy, I didn't see any of that shit. Although when we first met physically at the bar, where we were at, everything seemed familiar. The bar, like we've been there before. And yeah, and he felt familiar. He felt familiar. I didn't recognize him, although he said he recognized me. But the whole situation felt very familiar. The bar, it was only just me and him in there. It was like, and I didn't realize it was just me and him in that bar and the workers until after the fact. Because I was so consumed in we were just talking all night, going back and forth, not like nothing else was around us. And then the rain coming down when we left the damn restaurant, the bar or whatever, and the rain just coming down out of nowhere, and him pulling out all those roses for me. And, it was just so magical. This is like a fucking movie.
Yeah.
And he kisses me in the rain, and oh God. It was just like, he put his hand behind my neck and stuff, and just, it was so romantic. And he pulled me in. You know how they do when they put their hand around your neck? Yeah. And oh God, we were inseparable after that. Like, we had to see each other all the time. It was like the perfect relationship. And then when the anxiety started to kick in, I couldn't understand where it was coming from. All of our insecurities were coming up to the surface. His insecurities were coming up. Mine was. I never told him that mine was, though, until like towards the middle. I said, I have insecurities as well. And he was shocked. He was like, you do? He was like, wow, I would have never thought. But yeah, and I got a date after this. But he just messaged me. But anyways,
you gotta let me know how that goes.
I know, right? But yeah, like I said, I didn't recognize him until everything was said and done. And that's when we call it the obsessive thinking started to happen and all that shit. And yeah. And then the one that I've just recently been dealing with came along, and I feel like once you start to know your worth and you're standing in your truth, is when you've kind of shifted over. But see, I was still putting up with this one shit. And now I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm done. And God knows what's going to happen next. But it's just funny how they all kind of appear the way they do.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about, me and my twin, there was so much similarities. It was like I was looking at myself all the time and seeing myself and seeing my family dynamics. And then now with this one that I'm with my boyfriend now, ever since I came into, like, I don't know what happened. I just felt like this is whole and this is complete and I didn't need anybody, and I mourned that. And then I found him and we're neutral. I feel so comfortable and similar, and we're always on, like there's always this, it's like I feel it's the same. But I can't say the way I felt with my twin. My twin, I was like, oh, I felt like the same soul, or I felt like, I don't feel that with him. It just, there's a sameness in life circumstances, in past experiences, there's like a oneness, there's a
Yeah.
oneness, but it's nothing to cling to, it's nothing to hold on to, it's nothing to attach. It's just, there's a neutral feeling, but it's just crazy how, but sometimes I, like, to be honest, I miss that whole twin flame magical shit. Because I mean, that was the love of your life. Like it
Yeah.
was, I mean, I never had the magical experiences that I had with my twin, with anybody else in the world. I never felt so close or so in love, like it was so beautiful. But I mean, yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
Had all the magical experiences without him being around. It's when he left when all the shit started to happen. The numbers, the fucking what else? The numbers, the name, and that shit right there never happened when me and him were together. But when we parted ways was when all that magical shit started to really happen. You know what I mean? And I was like, whoa. I'm wondering if he sees the same shit I'm seeing because this is wild. This
Yeah, yeah.
is crazy. Like,
A lot
I
of the shit,
can't even
yeah.
tell you. It's unreal. Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I told you with the birds and shit. Like, I got birds follow. We were like, birds were flying packs, like, a whole bunch of them. Geese. I mean, you name it, over my head. Me and my girlfriends would be out. Me and Tawny would be out walking, and you see packs and packs of crows coming our way. And Tawny's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "What's happening?"
Yeah, it was just magical. I would have like
Yeah,
owls outside. I would have birds like feathers and all these, like, just roses would be at my doorstep, and like just petals of roses.
see,
And I was just like, oh, it's my twin, like, or he's
yeah,
coming. And never came. But it was numbers. It was telepathically I knew what was happening to him, what he was doing, how he was feeling. If he was sad, he was happy, he was upset, he was, all the time I knew what was happening. I actually would go to sleep and like connect with him, like when
off
I
his telepathy.
yeah, and I would connect
Yeah,
with him, and he wouldn't be here for 2 years, and then he'd come back, and then it was so, and then Kundalini,
I know.
so yeah, all this magical things, a lot of purging, that was happening. So it was magical, but it was a lot of bad shit coming out, and real, real holy spiritual shit, like, oh man, like I would see signs, and it was cool. It was kind of cool. You felt like you were getting guided somewhere. You were walking somewhere.
Yeah,
You were gonna get somewhere. And then it just fell apart for me. I fell in a void, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. That,
this is it.
and that was devastating to
I used
be.
to. Did you used to believe your higher self was him? I used to believe my higher self was him, and I was connecting with him, and I'd be talking all day to him and shit. And my homegirl would be, but with Tawny, she'd be like, "God, I wish I had that." How do you do it? Like, God, I was a fucking Looney Tune, man. I was just out there. I really believed that shit. I really believed that my higher self was him. And oh my God, crows, a whole bunch right over my house right now, Yasmin, as I'm looking. That's crazy. See what I'm talking about? Like, what they
Yeah.
make this shit up? I mean, if I could turn it, I would show you, but it's like so many, they're just flying over. But I'm saying, like, yeah, I'd sit and monitor my patient and go like within. I'd go within and talk to them. Like, because I thought we were one.
I know, I know. I was telling my family that if he dies, I will die because we're one soul.
One. And I believed it because but now when I look at it, I get the whole one part, like it's every, it's just energy. It's all just energy. But before I was looking at it as a separate, like it was
Yeah.
him right here. And
And
then the
we're like
rest
half
of the
half.
world.
I
Yeah.
looked at I was thinking I was half a soul and he was half a soul, and we had to just like
Come together.
reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
To make it
needed him.
complete.
Yeah, to be complete. And then when I woke up, when I had the realization that this was it, oh girl, I was crying like a grief, like someone died. And it was so horrible. And you know, I don't know. I have so much sympathy for people that go through that. I think it was the most devastating thing because the story of the twin flame is so big on the internet and it makes
Oh,
it
yeah.
worse. It makes you really think. Listen, I don't know. You might be with your twin or you might not, or I don't know.
It's
But
people that blow it out of proportion. They make it out to be more than what it needs. I don't know. I feel like I'm not know, but I feel like when it happens, it's like when you go through that purging part, when you're releasing apparently all this shit, I don't even know what you call that. I don't even know why I went through that.
yeah,
I know it something happened, but I just don't. It was crazy. I was up crying all night and begging for it to be taken away from me and shit like that. God, I don't know. It was just like the moment I met him and we parted ways. I don't know what the fuck he did, but I felt like witchcraft was put on me or something. It was
yeah,
crazy. I was like, who was he? What was that?
yeah. I think everybody says that after they meet their twin. They say, "What was that?" That's how I was like, What is this?" Like I knew it was different. I knew that
Yeah.
this. And then the worst part is that I was acting fucking crazy. I never, I'm so desperate with a man, and I was acting like a fucking desperate doormat, messaging him, calling him, doing all kinds of shit that I couldn't control, you know? And it
Yeah.
was just so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. I don't know. But, I don't know. Everybody's path is different, but I think you talking about this shape shifting is important because we didn't know until now.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of always wondered if that's what was going on because of how they all kind of fell into to order like that. And it's not a they. I mean, it's all just energy appearing as is. It's appearing as whatever's it's appearing as. And I don't know. But those two at the end were the same. The recognition right away, the familiarity right away, all that, like the telepathy shit. And I know it's not called telepathy because it is just energy, but I just call it that because that's just the way we communicated. Me and the other one I communicated with through music, and the other one was through poetry. And I know his ass is watching.
Oh,
I know he's watching this. I have two of them that are watching. They watch that, and I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm not hiding it. They know who they are. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But I feel like this whole thing is all about you knowing your worth and not settling for the bullshit, for the fuckery, and
yeah.
just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Putting boundaries up.
Well, I do act very different in this relationship. If I am not happy with something, I speak up and I'm not afraid to lose him because I'm not attached. So it's constantly, well, it's not constantly, but um, if there is an issue, I'm able to speak about it without the fear of losing or without, feeling like there's a loss, because there's really no loss or gain in anything. Like
Yeah.
there's no meaning in anything anymore. So yeah, I mean your worth and your value is after realization, it's different. You can't hold anything in. You got to spit it out. You got to tell people how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Constantly you're just like blah blah blah, pure.
But
Just
you noticed the moment you walked away from yours was when this one appeared. Because
yeah,
you put that boundary, you stood. I feel like that's what happens. Like, because the moment I walked away from that one, the other one messaged me. It's weird. And then I didn't hear from the other one again. And then I went, and I think it's because I went back to that one and was being obsessive and looking on it. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That one kind of just went, oh, she's not ready yet or something. I don't know. Like, it's just, if one, you walk away from one, another one appeared. It's just weird. I don't know.
So I have three. So I never thought about one while I was with the other.
Yes.
Like it's like I completely had to let go, thoroughly for the other one to appear. So
Yes.
everyone was in at certain times. And then this last time with my main twin, I said to him, I don't love you anymore. He said, I'm not going where you're going. And I said, I'm never going to speak to you again. And I mourned him completely. And it was done. It was done, done, done. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why another one came. But I mean, yeah, they don't all come together because it's one energy. They can't all come together
At once. No. And that's what I said. I said, it's so funny when one appears, the other one don't. Because it's just, yeah, it's crazy.
Because it's one energy.
Yeah, it is. It's one big energy. There's no certain way for things to show up in your life. They show up the way they show up. There's no rules to this twin flame thing. There is no rules. I don't give a fuck what other coaches out there say, whatever, there's no fucking rules how it's going to go down. Just because, look, I get it. If you resonate, this other person is resonate with one, I get it. Okay. That's because you went through it and they went through it. Like what we're talking about, somebody else will resonate with us because they're going through that. Oh my God, that's happening to me right now. You know what I mean? And then you have ones that would resonate with something else. I have one lady tell me that she doesn't even see hers physically at all. It's all, she feels like it's just energy. Like she's just connecting with energy. And she feels like that she's not meant to, communicate with him in the physical or something in this lifetime, whatever. But, the story stuff. But,
I mean, everybody has their own situation and their own. I mean, it's just there's no rules. It could come and go and happen.
In any way, yeah. That's what I'm saying. They can show up in any kind of way, whether it's a physical way or not a physical way.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting, and I'm glad we got on here to talk about that. Because, there are people that need to know this, that want to talk about it. So I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, or people that feel like, oh, you know what? I feel like I have one or two, three, four twin flames or whatever. And I always used to think that's not
it. Yeah.
But you know what? It's all one energy. So who says it's not it?
Right. It's always a big source of energy. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for inviting me on the call.
I know. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, we can get more detailed or whatever later, but have fun on your date.
I know, gosh. Kind of nervous.
Gotta let me know. Send me a picture of what he looks like.
I will. But I don't know what's gonna happen, so I'm just gonna take it one day at a time or whatever.
But go enjoy yourself.
All right.
Okay,
but all right, love. I'll talk to you soon here. You know that.
Yeah. Okay, bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye.